So in theory, we're live. Welcome to Session 0 of the Curse of Strahd. We don't even have a name for our group, do we?
Not yet.
Not yet.
So we're the nameless
I
ones right
don't
now.
see us.
Post in the chat what our group name should be.
There you go.
Working. Fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I got
Untitled.
I'm currently watching this.
Currently watching us. Perfect.
Cool.
Yeah, no.
So, what we're going to do today is we're going to spend some time getting to know the various players and the various characters. I want to take some time to find out what the connections are between the characters, if any, what you guys are doing prior to the adventure, some of your flaws, and other things that are on the right side of your character sheet. I forget all the categories because I don't have a character
Personality
sheet.
trait, ideal, bond, and flaw.
There you go. Those things we want to find out a little bit about. And just kind of get to know who's who and what's what. And next week we will actually be starting with a campaign, The Curse of Strahd. We're going to start at level 1. And I'm very excited about it. Today we're going to follow up our Session 0 with a little bit of a one-shot. None of the guys here know what that's going to be. I think some of the folks have to take off a little bit later today, but we'll see where we go.
Football.
So, football. Yeah, today's some national sporting event. I'm not sure what it is. I don't pay attention to
As far as I'm aware, it seems
Don't
to be a
date the
religion.
episode.
Don't date the episode. It's live. It's already dated.
If you have picture-in-picture, you're at an advantage. God,
Yeah.
that came out wrong.
That's good.
Okay, so what I'd like to start with is just a general introduction. Go around the table, find out who everybody is and what kind of character they'll be playing, and then we'll go from there. So why don't we go ahead and start on my left?
Okay, I'm Rick. I will be playing Avalder Anvilbelly, a cleric dwarf of the Death Domain. Follows. I'm having difficulty getting the name down, but it's Sharindlar. It's the dwarf deity of life. Because there's no actual grave domain deities. He's pretty short. He's 4'2". He's a bit rotund in his old age. He's 210 pounds. And he
I'm getting notices that we are not live.
I'm
Oh,
currently
good.
watching us.
Yeah,
So.
we're live. Time to refresh.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Wait. They can see us now. Are we? Is there a delay, or is it like?
There's like
It's
a.
like a 30-second delay.
No, it's not 30-second delay. It's only like.
Well, you could probably take off the delay.
I don't have the delay on it.
It's about a 15
It's just
second
the
delay.
site has a delay.
Well, no, I know that he can put a delay on there.
Yeah, I don't have a delay on here.
Yeah,
I thought of that.
just standard.
We're good. That's only on my computer. Each
Yeah,
computer has its own settings.
Because I was checking it, and it's about a 30-second delay.
Okay.
His personality trait is I see omens in every action. The gods may speak to us. We need to listen.
Well, hold on to that stuff.
Okay.
Let's just do a general introduction because I'm going to have questions about that when we go
Okay.
on to do that.
Okay.
Okay.
My name is Brody. I'll be playing Romul, a Loxodon barbarian. He's very tall in stature at a very high 7'8". Pretty hefty with his 360-pound physique. Few scars across his face and body over various battles against wild animals and different wandering raiders. He's wandered the hills and plains of western Faerun, generally trying to protect his herd from these threats, and he's currently in search of a new herd, as his species generally drifts towards endangerment.
Okay, so you're actually in Faerun rather than I forget where Loxodons come from.
That's.
I figured
It's a different
well,
continent on the
yeah.
same
wherever
planet.
you want.
Yeah.
So,
I figured what's it the city of the Ravnica is like a giant cityscape, but if he was going to be a barbarian, I'd want him roving the plains.
okay, makes sense.
Oh, I am Ken.
I will be playing Harl Barak Ilith. He is a mountain dwarf. He follows Torm. He has the background of soldier, as he was an officer in the military within the city of Tantris. He's a fighter. He's 150 years old or thereabouts. He's 5 foot tall, so tall for a dwarf. He weighs about 170 pounds. Due to his muscle mass, his light brown hair, tan skin, and dark brown eyes. He worships in the Temple of Torm's Coming and resides nearby. His role within the temple is to participate in the furtherance of the debt of dereliction. It's a never-ending struggle to eliminate the cults of Cyric and Bane. As a military officer, he specializes in preparing forces to combat giants. He's also responsible for organizing expeditions deep into the mountain ranges surrounding the Vast, which is the area that Tantris is. The goal of these expedition is to preemptively strike at the Orcish menace. His personality trait is he's always polite and respectful, which is not a character I'm used to playing.
Hold on the personality.
Oh, we're holding on the personality trait.
Just
Okay.
kind of a general introduction of what class and
Yeah, that's about it then.
race and who you are.
He's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy. Excellent.
Ken is a nice guy.
We all need nice guys.
But I usually play jackasses.
This is true.
My name is Zach. I will be playing Grundle Gearwench, who is a rock gnome, tinker wizard, who is haunted and followed by a spirit that everyone thinks is his imaginary friend, but it is his spirit. Been following him for about 115 years, and he actually taught him magic. So he taught him the ways of the arcane. He stands about 3'8" for a gnome. He is of rock gnome descendant, so he is more of a stout kind of gnome. But he is here to cause a little good, but it may come at the cost of some chaotic nonsense at the same time.
Oh, good.
So, yeah.
Filling my role.
My turn?
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Terry. I will be playing Aman Jardir Hosakaman Mkaji, or Jardir for short. He is a vengeful paladin, part of the Order of the Endless Dawn. He comes from a small village about 20 miles east of Kalimshan, and he did about 4-year enlistment with Kalimshan's recon patrol when he got out with honors and courage and self-righteousness, and he came out as a sergeant, and he was the shortest one to join the recon patrol. He stands at 5'4", dark tan skin with white turban, white cloak with chainmail underneath, and a fancy glaive at his back.
And his name is Aman, A-M-A-N.
His name's Jardir, but his full formal name is Aman Jardir Hosakaman
What would you
Mkaji.
like to go by?
Jardir.
Spell that for me.
Jardir.
Excellent. Okay.
Do you feel a little ripped off?
A little bit.
A little bit. Amon's not that common.
Also, we started. So far, Betty Face has joined us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got
We have 7 people.
welcome
watching.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
we have Asmon.
Hey, wow.
Someone has talked to us.
No,
Yeah,
Asmon's been
Asmon's
here.
talked to us.
It was
Oh,
saying good luck.
I haven't seen that. Hello, Asmon, as well.
It was just earlier since you were there. It's all good.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
All right. Anyway,
Hi, I'm Nathan. Nice to meet you. I'm playing Gwar. He is a he's a kobold rogue. He was thrown out of his tribe because he had a skin disease. He's actually just albino, but that's like a curse to them. So kicked out, and he lived in a nearby city's sewer system until he got picked up by some roguish people who wanted to use his small kobold stature and frail figure to be able to sneak into places that they couldn't. So, learn some things.
All right. Hi, I'm Joe, and I'm going to be playing Sully Cobbletoe. He was formerly the world's unluckiest halfling, who went through a series of unfortunate events that led him into a high-security prison. And during that time, he ended up having a near-death experience. But instead of being bitter towards the world, he got blessed with powers by showing gratitude. So Ilmater, a god who appreciates that kind of stuff, starting to help him out, and now he's starting to find out that he is a much luckier halfling.
Well, cool. Okay, and my name is Michael, and I'm going to be DMing this Strahd.
Storyteller.
Thank you. And what I'd like to start with is we'll just kind of go open flow. Whoever wants to go. First question: does anybody know anybody else prior to the adventure?
I don't think anyone. I was looking to maybe be working with somebody else because it'd make some sense, but nobody really seemed to have a character that quite made sense for a kobold to be latched upon.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the giant elf.
Where are you
though, 'cause he'd be
geographically?
unusual, too. The big guy.
Geographically, I'm from the desert, but I don't know where we're meeting up.
Well, the vast is a
Little
desert.
wander.
The
80 years in prison.
Kalimshan
You're not meeting
area.
I don't know.
I could have
I'm
been
so
in-
bad at the geographic.
It's like East Coast.
Actually, not a
So,
very terrible.
Faerun map.
Prisons have sewers.
As I understand,
Trying to
you're
take a
from
dump.
the
Oh,
Kalimshan-
hi.
Guys. Sorry. And I'm going to put a cap on the side talk.
Yeah.
Because it's a bad habit we got into playing by ourselves.
Yeah. It's different streaming.
Yeah, it's different streaming. So, as I understand, you're from the Kalimshan Desert,
Yes.
correct? Okay, and you're down there right now?
Well, I don't know what would make more sense.
You can be anywhere you want. So,
We could say I'm there and then someone could give me like orders from the Endless Dawn or.
okay. And what are you doing down in the Kalimshan Desert right now?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Right now, I'm working with the Endless Dawn as a new recruit, just coming off of my 4-year enlistment from the Kalimshan Recon Patrol. They've accepted me into their ranks, seeing that I'm a courageous short human, willing to go out of his way to do the greater good.
What is the Endless Dawn?
The Endless Dawn is the paladin order that seeks to bring justice and light to the evils of the world.
Excellent. So, anything that any type of evil that you specialize in? Or
Things in like mummies, crypts, undead,
okay.
in that specific.
I'm just going to take some notes here. That way,
Yeah.
as we fill out the game and get ready for next week, which will be the official start, I'll have some idea of where everybody's coming from and what they've been doing. Now, Nate, you mentioned that you possibly wanted to work with somebody prior to this. Was there anybody else who was kind of leaning in that direction or thinking about that?
Rommel is looking for a herd, and a herd can mean anything to him. He's just looking for a group to roam with.
Okay. And where are you?
So Guar's not particularly he's a kobold, so he doesn't really
Right.
know a lot about the other world. So he doesn't actually know where he is. He's kind of just around. He's under a city right now, but
Okay.
he doesn't know the name.
Do you know?
Do
Nate,
I know
the
them?
player? No. Have an idea what city you want to be under?
I mean, I could any of the big ones: Waterdeep, Neverwinter, any one
Think
of those
about it
work.
for a few
Yeah.
minutes and let me know.
Okay.
Okay. Who else? Joe's your character's in jail.
Yeah, so he can't.
Baldur's Gate's a pretty high locked down prison.
And where are you?
That's the thing. I'm going to need your expertise on this because since he was so very unlucky at the time, where would be a good place for him to be sent to prison? Like, it would be like a bad place.
Baldur's Gate.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't want to go there.
You don't want to go there, so you're there.
Yeah.
There. That's where you could be.
I specifically wrote down that he, through several clerical technicalities and mishaps, he ended up there after there being a mistake where it looked like he wiped out his town.
Okay, so he's imprisoned unfairly, or
unfairly.
yeah. Okay. So the typical prisoner. I'm innocent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
for 80 years.
Yeah,
I'm innocent.
We're all innocent here.
Okay. Tell me more about what happened in the town.
Well, basically at the time he thought his wife and kids were going out on a vacation, and during that time he was, I swore I turned off the vibration on this. And during that time, the whole place actually got overrun by a group of goblins and bugbears. And at the time, he was not combat capable whatsoever. So he just hid. After the whole place got decimated, authorities came in to look for survivors. Again, through several mistakes and mishaps, it looked like basically he went on a crazed arson spree, or burned down all the buildings. They think he's a lunatic, and yeah, that's, like you said, the typical prisoner.
Excellent. So you mentioned he's unlucky. What kind of unlucky is? Obviously, he's unlucky because he ended up in jail for a crime that he didn't commit. But what is he like? What kind of unlucky is he?
Well, his wife and kids didn't leave to go on a vacation. The wife actually took the kids to her parents. She was just leaving him. And at that time, he was probably about 20 years old. So he ended up getting a bum arm while trying to become a farmer. He ended up messing up part of his eye while trying to become a potter. And
Just unlucky.
while in prison, during a prison break, he did not want part of the prison break. And fortunately, there was a large orc that didn't want part of the prison break either. Unfortunately, the orc was very panicky. So he tried closing the door on his cell to keep any of the chaos from flooding in. He didn't see that Sully was trying to get into the cell as well to get some safety. Instead of getting all the way in, he only got his shoulder in. So the door got closed right on him, and he basically got his shoulder crushed off, and his arm just started bleeding out.
Ow.
And while he was dying, he just thought, it's actually been a good life considering he's overall an optimistic person. He calls out to the gods saying, I don't know who did this to my life, but thank you. Out of all this, I like the person I've been. Out of all this, I could say I've done good things. And Ilmater, who is kind of a martyr lover, essentially. He suffers for others. He appreciates the suffering that others put into doing good. And seeing this, he felt bad because no one was doing anything good for him. He was just calling out to the heavens for no one. So he went down under the guise of one of Ilmater's avatars as a prisoner who looked just misshapen and mangled, and he helped Sully to his cell, healed him up, and basically just watched over him from that point on. Sully knows that he's there, but
Now, does Sully know that Ilmater is his patron?
yeah, he knows he is. He doesn't know all the ins and outs, but he knows, this guy's helpful.
Oh, now you lost your arm in the accident.
Mhm.
What was that? Was it replaced?
It was replaced. At the time, he thought it was more misfortune where the guards just went, here, we'll slap an old gauntlet on there, and you're better. Well, there was a specific type of moss that ended up patching up his wound, so he no longer bled out. Ilmater blessed him so that way he could move the gauntlet on his own. No special qualities out of that, except it's a hollow arm, essentially.
Made out of metal?
Yep.
Excellent. Metal arm.
So, it's putting down Magneto in there.
Okay, so heat metal is something.
Ow, ow, ow.
It's useless.
Who else? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
More about
So-
your character.
Grundle Gearwinch kind of sounds like a raspy New Yorker who likes explosions. He's got a guy who He follows him. His name is Ed. Ed Prime. Ed Prime taught me everything I know about the arcane. What can I say? Anyway, there was a terrible event that had happened. He was mining about 100 years ago. With his crew. It was a little daunting crew that just sought out a mining supply. Grundle wasn't very strong, so he basically was the brains of the operation, him and Ed. They would go in, look for arcane residue within the mine, send the other guys in to mine it out. They came back with an actual find, and it was this huge rock that just emanated so much arcane power that Grundle had never seen anything like it before. And so as they were going back to camp, Ed told Grundle to stop, and so he did and looked upon the camp, and there was a young boy that was ravaging corpses, but he was crying while he was doing it, fighting some kind of urge to do this. Everybody murdered, all 4 people, just completely dead. And as the sun rose, the vampire was exposed, and it ran.
Oh.
Now, this being said, right before this terrible monster retired into the shadows, the child turned around and said, "Help me," to Grundle,
Uh-huh.
and then was by some other power willed off into the shadows. And that has haunted Grundle ever since. Fast forward to now, he just was able to figure out how to mold that ore that he found that night that his entire friends and family were ravaged. He basically engineered it into a completely spherical lead ball, and then with Ed's help etched sigils all around the ball, and was able to use that as a channel for an arcane focus. And so he basically now travels the world for information regarding the thing that haunts him every night, which is this child or monster. And he and Ed travel, helping out where they can. And in the off time, Grundle likes to tinker with music boxes.
Now, Ed is dead.
Ed is dead. Ed is a spirit that has been following Grundle since about the age of 15.
Okay.
First came to Grundle when he found him tinkering in his family's shop in Mossstone, which is on the west coast, probably south. It's way south of like Waterdeep and Neverwinter. Ed was attracted to the music. Never left him after that. Just kept hanging around, thought he was a cool guy. Grundle got to know him. Everybody thought he was talking to some random imaginary friend. So at about 17, 20 years old, Grundle actually drew a
You got the
picture.
noisy one.
You all right, man?
Of all of them, you got the noisy one.
Grundle actually drew a picture of Ed and himself and has kept it since. It's like his little memento of his childhood. But, using the arcane focus that he and Ed forged, they help out and slay monsters where they can, and they are currently just wandering on any lead that presents itself regarding a young boy who is somewhat of a monster who is not a monster and needs help.
I want to just
Yeah,
point
go ahead.
out something. So he's haunted by this memory of some little boy calling out, "Help me!" And then
Killing
gets
all of his friends.
and then gets pulled into the shadows. And he also your guy tinkers with music boxes. That is
Well
horror
rounded.
movie setup right there. Like I can see one music box just going off on its own, and
Absolutely. So, and in that case, you can put me anywhere necessary. You put me in major city, following lead to Neverwinter, if you want to, wherever.
Or in Calendar.
What form does Ed take? What does he look like?
Ed? Ed basically...
To Grumble.
To Grundle, Ed basically looks like the equivalent of a court jester.
Human,
Sure.
gnome, dwarf.
I would say kind of like Peter Dinklage.
Okay.
Peter
Okay.
Dinklage meets Jester,
Now, does he have the full-on jester?
Yep,
hat?
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Absolutely. He's just they're just clowns. Literally just clowns.
you guys full on haunted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just
But he accepted it, and because he accepted it, Ed, like I said, Ed was able to help him in better understanding magic.
Excellent.
So
I love how it is both literally and figuratively the haunted one.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're looking for clues. Now, did you know that this young lad that killed off your cohorts, did you know he was a vampire, or he
did
was-
not know he was a vampire until he pulled his grubby little teeth out of my best man Frankie.
Okay.
Frankie, Paulie, and the twins, Brett and Brent.
Brett and I'm
We
Brett
had a
and
good-
Mrs. Brett.
Yep, we had a good squad. We had a good business running. I was the brains. They were the muscle. That's how we did things.
Excellent.
Frankie falling in the twin Brett and Brett outfit.
That's the best part.
Okay. Well, who else?
Who's gone?
Who hasn't
Who
gone?
hasn't
Yeah,
gone?
just
There
us.
we go. Like that's a better
All right.
question. Yeah.
So, Rommel is a Loxodon who speaks in long, drawn-out sentences and syllables in order to make himself seem more knowledgeable. He's currently he's
That's so good.
he's a wanderer. Over the years, he's been with many different herds, some Loxodon, some not. Though wandering the dangerous fields and hills of western Faerun, I will say he's in the Eltergard area now, and somewhere in that area. He has come across he's defended his herds from so many wild animal attacks such as bears or wandering raiders and bandits, and he's lost his last herd to one such attack, and he's currently seeking a new one. Where that takes him, he doesn't know, but he does know that he has one duty, one purpose. As his people face extinction, he needs to bring about the next generation and lead them into the future. He is very family oriented. He loves watching people families interact. He likes the way the bonds between parents and child or brother and sister. It's really important to him. So much so that he can be relentlessly stubborn if he thinks if he thinks one course of action or one decision is the best decision for the herd, he will relentlessly pursue it and be incredibly stubborn and very hard to dissuade from that course of action.
So right now, is he just kind of wandering the wilderness? Is he in a?
He is very
City
much so a
setting?
wanderer. Moving from camp to camp, settlement to settlement, searching for that herd or those that next group that he can call a family.
Okay.
What kind of mount would be able to would he be able to?
He's
ride on?
360 pounds, man. He's got to have one hell of a Clydesdale if he's.
He goes quadrupedal.
Yeah.
He
is his mouth.
Wizards technically made him a medium-sized creature, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty big for a medium-sized creature.
Yeah.
Well, large is 8 feet, so yeah.
Yeah.
Just a.
That's not very, sorry, you don't quite make the large.
So when he was large, he was almost huge.
Oh my god, yeah, pretty much.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, powerful build and such. He counts as large, pretty much. But
So basically, we have a group of short characters. Even the human is 5'4", 5'5". So you're the biggest thing around.
7 foot. Oh, hey, how's the weather down there?
3 of us can stack on top of each other and equal his height, though. We could all
Yeah.
put on a trench coat and some big floppy ears, and there'll be 2 of them.
Oh, meet my friend here, Muram.
Yeah, I sense a lot of dwarf tossing in this.
Oh god.
How will we get past this chasm?
Kobolds catapults.
Don't tell the elf.
Wait, I have spells.
Please no.
And Avalder is quite a family man. He and his patron is, or his deity, I should say. He's not a warlock. Is the dwarven goddess of marriage.
Give me your deity's name again, or spell it for me if you can't pronounce it.
It's Sharindlar.
Oh,
Sharindlar.
Okay.
And his focus is his staff, which is it looks like the symbol of Sharindlar, which is a needle, and so it's you know the has the shaft, and then it has the eye, and then in the eye it has a lantern.
I like it. Lanterns. And now, is it a physical lantern? Does it actually light
Yes,
and glow? Cool.
but basically it's unlit, and then when he uses sacred flame a lot, so. And yeah, so he's, like I said, he's a family man. He has 5 kids. He has 3 siblings. His parents are dead because he's super old.
These things happen with dwarves.
His one of his sons is missing, and so he left the temple to become a wandering priest in the hopes of finding some more information. And he lives off alms that people give to him, but he performs services for free. So he performs services for free, and if they give him something great, if they don't, whatever. He does as a grave cleric. He performs funerals, and as a cleric of Sharindlar, he performs marriages, and as a regular old cleric, he heals people. And so he's also mostly wandering, mostly small towns that don't necessarily have priests or clerics.
Or a set up temple or anything like that. So where is he right now in Faerun? Is
He's based in Triel, which is a small town to the east of Baldur's Gate.
Okay.
But he's left some time ago, so he could be anywhere at this time.
Okay. Now is he kind of a wandering cleric?
Yes.
Mostly?
Yeah, he is his background is traveling priest. So.
Okay. Cool.
And yeah. So that's basically it.
Ken, what's up with your character?
Okay. I think I already said his name is Harald Barakulith. He's a mountain dwarf. When he was still young, under the age of 50 or so, he was living with his tribe in the hills near this town I keep forgetting how to pronounce.
It's always important to make
I know,
names
right?
really hard to pronounce, so it sounds like a fantasy name.
Tantris. It's actually not that hard to say. I just couldn't remember it. So his tribe was attacked by orcs in the hills, the hills near the mountain ranges surrounding the Vast, which is where Tantris is. It's near a body of water. So after his tribe was attacked, he made his way alone through the Vast, a desert, to the city of Tantris. He was taken in by the Temple of Torm's Coming. He, as a mountain dwarf, he is kind of an oddity within the city because the city itself is mostly human. And him as growing up as a child with mountain dwarfs, they were more wild. They were less civilized than the city that he found himself in. So he overcompensated, becoming extremely, following every law, helping every person he can, finding himself absolutely dedicated to I can't remember. The Order of the Golden Lion, specifically participating in the debt of dereliction. It's the never-ending struggle to eliminate the cults of Sirik and Bane, which were the gods related to the Orcish tribes that attacked his people. Mm-hmm. Which is why, as he grew older and he practiced, he worked his way through the military ranks with the ultimate goal of hunting down and destroying the Orcish menace. He is blinded by this goal. He is unreasonable, and he will throw everything he can into the pursuit of their destruction. He will put his own life in danger to save people that are under attack, or were harmed by these orcs, or the orcs and giants and other such creatures that roam the land in the mountains. Like I said, as he worked his way through the military ranks, he became an officer. His specialty became the leading forces in successful campaigns in destroying and killing giants. But he was also responsible for leading expeditions to preemptively strike at the Orcish menace. He was able to hunt down the vicious tribe who had attacked his family and successfully destroy them.
Excellent.
In this attack, he was able to. He pulled a. Where did I put that? He has a scrap of the Orcish tribe's war banner, which he has wrapped around the How do you say that? The enarmus, the strap that holds the shield to your arm.
Oh, good God, I wouldn't know.
I would call it the strap that holds the shield to your arm.
It has an actual name.
See, I did not know that.
And arms. I look up stuff like that.
I'm going to trust whatever your pronunciation is.
Yeah,
but
basically.
Around that, he
Enormous.
something like that. He wrapped the Orcish tribe's war banner around that, so he always has that with him, knowing that his achievements led to the destruction of the beasts that killed his family and tribe. As an officer, he wears the Tantris coat of arms on the left side of his chest, with his military echelons denoting that he is an officer. Under his chain armor, he wears well-worn common clothes, which are muddied and blood-spattered. He has a belt pouch, which is a dull gray with an orange yarn drawstring. On his right hand, he has a white gauntlet denoting his allegiance to Torm. His chainmail is patinaed brass. You can see that it's well used. It's covered in muck and set in grease stains and whatever you get throughout combat.
Well loved.
Oh yeah, it's well loved. He has a round, dark wood. His shield is round. It's dark brown wood. Again, the brass rim and the boss is patinaed like his armor. His backpack, which it's woven orange yarn around a dull gray leather pack. So that's what he looks like. He's tanned. He has light brown hair and dark brown eyes. I think I said that before. I can't remember. His primary weapon is a morning star. The morning star is the officer's weapon within the city of Tantris. He wields 2 hand axes, which he uses in times of dire necessity or when he has to attack an enemy from a shorter distance because of his movement speed being 25. He doesn't move very fast. He also has javelins to throw a little bit further. So personality traits and stuff is what we need.
Hold on to that for a second.
That's pretty much what he is.
I want to go back to Nate.
Yeah, I thought of a little bit more stuff
Yeah.
while listening to some other people. So Guar, I think a good place would probably be Baldur's Gate. That one's a pretty lively city for thieves guilds, and they have good sewer systems and such. You know, gotta have that when you're on the mouth of a river. Anyways, don't question. Hey, drop some into your own thing. That's good.
Oh, darn.
Good job. Oh no, we have to eat more. But yeah, so he his entire experience. He is a kobold, although very old for his age or for his species. He's 7. So he's been around for a while comparatively. They mature at 3 to 4. And their life expectancy is 3 to 4. They can live up to a century, for fun fact. They don't, but they have the ability to. They just don't. Yeah.
They don't have the intelligence or the constitution to
Yes.
do that.
Yeah. That is mainly it.
Being a squirrely little creature,
yeah.
it's easy to get stepped on by, Luxodon or something.
Oh, what?
Yeah, pretty much. But he did get captured more or less by the Thieves Guild. A specific half-orc found him named Gerlock. Took him up under his wing, mainly because, a small solo kobold is usually very terrified, as Gwar was when he was approached by the much taller and stronger half-orc. But then, because he was not immediately slain, he went into natural servitude that most kobolds do. They like to serve things that are bigger than them because it makes them feel safe.
So, what was the half-orc's name?
Gerlock.
Do you have a name for the Thieves Guild?
He's not. Gwar does not know it because he's not really part of it. He's kind of a tool for Gerlock.
Okay.
Yeah. So Gwar's unaware of it, so he will never mention it to anyone and brag about it. He is not branded by them. He's literally just this guy's basically just another tool.
A set of thieves tools.
Yeah, he's just a really nimble thieves tool set. It's all that he is. He's not a member. He's not accepted. He knows some symbols because he gets communications with his master more or less on where to go, and he marks it. So he's learned thieves' cant. He understands it, but he doesn't know the greater hierarchy around him. As far as he's aware, like masters, he's got it, dude. He's got it. Gerlock knows everything. Gerlock always has a plan, type of a thing. So that's mainly that's pretty much it. But he's happy that he has a place where he's not foraging on his own, because kobolds do not like to be on their own in any scenario. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'd like to do is see. There's a couple of clerics, or we got a cleric. We got a
Some holy men.
fighter who follows a god. Who else has a god that they follow?
Ish.
Follows,
guy
follows Ish.
No. All right, that is one.
God of
Ilmater or Ilmater.
Right.
Yeah.
Is your god. Rick, you've got
Charlindar.
Yeah. Any god in your life there, Rommel?
I don't think he would have spent enough time in any one place to be introduced to any god or another.
Okay.
He just kind of follows Mother Earth.
Gaia.
Okay. Guar technically, all kobolds typically follow Kurtulmak. That's like their god. It was a kobold that rose to extreme power and it has a minor deityship. But he was tricked by one of the gnome gods and is trapped.
Oh, he's the one who's currently in prison.
He's
Garl Glitterheim or something.
Yeah, Glitterheim's the one that he's got a fun name.
Yeah.
Is the gnome deity that trapped him in this like unending labyrinth. So that
Impressive.
yeah. So that's kind of he would have awareness of it. However, being his culture, the paleness is like a curse from is seen as a curse, although it's not really anything special. It's he would be like excommunicated from any type of religious type things. He would not be a loud follower, although he would still have the innate kobold understanding of him that's taught when they were very young.
Okay. Anybody else?
Grundle is a man of science and puts no trust in divine beings.
Excellent.
The god
though
is
they
right
exist.
here! What the hell?
But they
I'm literally using divine magic.
They literally exist in this one.
For
So
Jardir,
much fun.
his order, they have clerics that do practice in the name of Amanator. He is a god of the eternal sun,
Can you
and
spell that for me?
AmaunAtor.
You were saying.
That and they have some clerics that worship Helm, so they kind of work together and hand in hand.
Helm's part of the triad. That,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so-
With Torm and I forget who else.
yeah.
Tired?
Tier.
Tier?
Yeah.
Tier
So now do the paladins having a ability to cast cleric-like spells? Now, do you get your spells from a divine source? Do you think that's where it comes from, or is it just kind of an innate ability that?
It has to come from a divine source, doesn't it?
No.
Well,
Well, I
for
mean,
a
you don't have to
paladin?
follow a god.
Yeah.
For paladins, it would come from basically their zealous following of their oath.
that's what like
Yeah.
5th edition
That would make
between like
sense.
the older editions, I
Yeah.
think, kind of like changes for paladins.
Makes it a little more
Like-
gray.
Yeah, they take away that whole divinity kind of and make it so like it's more like your righteousness. But I figure like since he's an initiate and being at level 1, he still hasn't like found it. So it'd probably be a toss up between Helm or Amanator.
Yeah, I guess you don't even have your spellcasting yet.
No, so and it makes sense.
Yeah.
He'll figure it out as he goes.
You get that at
Excellent.
2?
What's that?
Is it 2 when the spells? Or
Yeah.
is it
I
3?
think
Level 2
level
is
2.
spellcasting.
Okay.
It's 2 for half casters, 3 for third casters.
4 for fourth casters, but there are none.
I really hope they don't introduce fourth casters. That would get too confusing.
That'd be so pointless. Third casters are almost not.
I'm
even
pretty
right.
sure that's just magic initiate.
Oh,
Pretty much.
yeah.
Crisscross
That's weird,
talk.
yeah.
Applesauce.
If there's no other talk.
So, let's get an idea of you mentioned you're an albino, and we got a little bit from Ken on what his character looks like. What do your characters look like? Give me some idea of how they dress, what their hair color, eye color is, anything like that you want to flesh out your character with.
My character basically looks like just a dirty, partially the beard's singed, explosions, tinkering. He's got the Hextech goggles just kind of there to help him tinker. But standard clothes. It wouldn't be robes necessarily. It would be more like what would be
Traveler's clothes?
well, traveler's clothes, but I'm thinking more kind of like overalls
Okay.
in essence, with just like a white T-shirt that has seen its days because it's covered in soot and
Chemical burns.
and everything like that. But salt and pepper, because he is 135 years old, so he's salt and pepper. Definitely not tanned by any means because he spends the majority of the time in mines or out at night.
Away from the sun.
Yeah. More of the tinkering type look of nature, but with long beard, a little bit of singed here and there from possible explosions that may have gone off either in the lab or out in the field, so to speak. So, yeah.
So, is there a chance that during downtime he may be tinkering and set off a random explosion
Absolutely.
every once in a while?
Oh, boy.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to that.
With
Not the
trying
orphanage again.
to perfect or expand on the abilities of music boxes.
Exploding music box.
Oh, you know.
Well, I mean,
Like,
sometimes you
definitely
need to.
Diesel
That's the.
powered. Yeah.
Or like a Jack in the
Yeah,
Box
yeah.
music box.
Right, we have
Make sure people like the Joker.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
absolutely.
What does he eat or drink?
My guy?
Yeah.
A little bit of
Gunpowder and kerosene.
Yeah, absolutely.
Blood.
Black
Rations
powder.
and water.
Blood.
No,
Pretty much.
no, my guy. No,
Okay.
definitely not. He's a normal stouty gnome. He likes his mead to his fine wines to his cheeses and his meats. However he can get it, he'll eat it.
Excellent. Who else?
Avalder is he's pretty average height for a gold dwarf. He's tanned. He has white hair because he's of his age. He has silver blue eyes, which indicates possible some shield dwarf ancestry, but not enough to make him look too different. He's overweight, seeming from middle age, but also he likes to eat and drink rich foods. He walks with a bit of a hunch and kind of hobbles along, but not terribly slowly. It's more how he's walking than like actual injury. And he does use his staff as more of a walking stick. He wears, since he's always traveling, he does wear his armor, but he does so under his robes because he's mostly around to help people, but he's also not stupid enough to go around without protection.
Okay. Brody, what about
Romul, very large. He relies. I mean, it's what he looks like. He relies mainly on his very thick, leathery hide to defend himself. So he doesn't wear very much. Some furs and some different hides cover his nether regions. Various animals, bears, wolf skins. He's got a necklace of bear claws that he wears to commemorate the bear that he defeated that took his last herd from him. And various scars. He's got one scar across his right eye, and then three claw marks from that one fateful bear attack, and then various other scars, well healed over the years, just kind of pepper his body.
Now, Ronald is a barbarian.
He is a barbarian.
What does it look like when he rages?
When he rages, he gives a great bellowing elephant noise, the trumpet thing, and I mean the Outlander background gave me a music proficiency, so that's just going to be his trumpet, his trumpet.
That's awesome.
So there's that. So he'll just and then
proficient with his trunk.
yes, very proficient with his trunk. He does a lot of stuff with it.
It's gonna be great with the music box.
Reaches out.
So when he rages, he stands up tall, broad-shouldered, bellows with his trunk trumpet, and then rushes into battle to meet the foe.
Quick question.
Yes.
Does he have hands, or is it just elephant?
Yeah. When I first learned of the Loxodons, I thought the same thing. No, they do have large, stocky
is it
fingers,
something
but
like
it's like the Simpsons where they have
yeah.
four fingers.
Okay.
Yeah. So big sausagey 4 fingers,
Okay.
3 fingers and a thumb.
Okay.
So and then regular elephant feet.
Alright, I just thought it would be funny if like
Yeah.
all of them were,
Yeah, just
have a great axe, just yeah.
Could you wear horseshoes?
I would assume you'd actually just use your.
I mean, that would hurt.
You could probably just use your trunk to hold the weapon too.
I would if I could, but the trunk can't use weapons, can hold weapons, can't use weapons, shields, magic items, or do complicated actions, which is generally like DM kind of decides what the trunk can and can't
That
do.
would be.
And
That'd be
that does work pretty well for the how you can't draw so many weapons during a turn.
Oh yeah.
You could
There's
just
no action to shift items
Yeah.
from one hand to the other, so
javelin.
that would be useful. Yeah.
Yeah, and as I understood, I read up on the Luxodons. The trunk basically can manipulate objects, but can't do fine motor skill.
yeah,
type
simple
So you're
simple
telling me
actions.
he can't thieves' tool with his nose?
thing. Exactly.
Yeah,
Each
simple
crossbow.
actions, but
Yeah.
the more complicated it gets, the more likely the trunk won't be able to do it.
Okay. Who else wants to tell me about
Pretty
their
much.
character?
Alright. Sully,
Well,
lucky enough for him, at this point, he's finally got a haircut. So, yeah, he likes to look nice. He likes to look dignified. So his hair is just slicked back, silvery. The other inmates that he did end up making friends with encouraged him to get prison tattoos so that way he would look more intimidating and that way he would get into fights. He ended up getting a black hourglass on his back, but the sand meets in the middle. It's supposed to signify a life sentence. But then he ended up getting another one later on after he found out that he could go free eventually because his luck was turning around. So he has a butterfly on his chest.
Not a lower back.
No.
The whole story all on his back.
No, the
B
map of the
movie
prison.
script.
That's on his armpit.
Did he have any bad luck in getting the tattoos? Are they well done?
No, he got the tattoos after his luck turned around.
Okay.
Otherwise, they would be like really infected or something.
Okay, so he's got slick back hair. And he's now since your halfling is in prison,
Mhm.
I'm assuming he doesn't get his 10 meals a day.
No.
Is he svelte and slim?
Yeah, he is very slender. He tries to keep himself busy, but yeah, he. If it were me, I'd be getting hangry all the time. But him, he's learning patience.
Excellent. Okay, who else? Terry.
So Jardir, he's a 5'5". He's very tan skin. Underneath his white robe and white turban, he's got tan skin. He's got very short black hair, shaved face except up to the mouth line. He's got the regulated, allowed mustache for the military. He does have a circular scar by his left eye from a goblin raid. Through his seer training, survival, enduring, resist, and escape training, seer, for his recon as a recon scout, he's used to eating literally anything from bugs to rabbit's eyes for its protein. So he's not very picky on food, but he is highly allergic to shrimp.
No shrimpies.
Is that all shellfish? Or just shrimp?
As far as he knows, it's just shrimp. So he doesn't touch much seafood and shellfish in general, except fish. But yeah.
Calamari's not
I
shellfish.
just wanted to add.
I don't think of allergies. Ugh.
The,
Low character detail over here.
Yeah.
Having
Put
a-
much thought in it, did you?
I do have his entire extended family.
We'll look into their medical history.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say the picture that I linked with the explosion going off.
Yeah.
That's not my, that's not the shadow of like all the explosion and soot behind me as my outline. That's actually Ed.
Oh my
Oh,
god, that's
okay.
funny.
That's funny. Sorry, you guys can't see that out there in
Right.
TV land.
Eventually, though,
Yeah,
the
they
tokens
will,
are made.
they
Just we
will.
don't have
Tokens
the
are made,
twenty
we
going
just
right
have
now.
them back.
That's cool.
Okay, does that cover everybody? Yeah. Okay. We mentioned you guys mentioned what classes you're playing. I know that you're playing a grave cleric. A barbarian is just a barbarian.
Oh yeah, fighter.
What kind of fighter are you?
Specialization-wise?
Specialization.
He has the what was it? Dueling? Is
Dueling?
it trait? Is it a trait?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fighting style.
Oh,
Fighting style.
Yeah.
plus
He-
2 damage. When
Yeah, and he uses a shield. He's sword and board, you know? He's straight up a fighter. That's his thing. But I would like to mention that his face is clean shaven. He stands straight up at attention all the time. He does not drink. He eats rations and drinks water. If he completes some kind of glorious mission, he'll allow himself to eat something a little more fancy. Nothing,
A small piece of cheese.
whatever like the cheapest thing at an inn is, just slightly better than a ration, he'll have that.
So you are going way different than your usual character.
Yeah, completely different.
We wanted to make sure that Thal didn't bleed in.
Yes.
Let me interrupt real quick. You probably might have just seen Gabe up on Joe's lap.
A wild Gabe has appeared.
Yeah, Wild Gabe has appeared. That's our mascot, Gabe.
Oh, what more? Should we go over personality traits?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a second.
Okay, I'm just getting into.
We're all excited.
Actually, went into detail about how like where his weapons are strapped and stuff. Do you want me to go over that? Strapped on his right hip is in a brass hoop is his morning star. He has one hand axe on either side of his hip. Again, they're dull gray leather straps. He has his javelins are strapped from his right shoulder to his left hip, where the javelins are on his are stored in leather straps. I already described that. That's about it. I think he's pretty straight and narrow.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Which I think will be funny to play off these two.
What?
The guy that's been in jail for how long?
You assume my guy is a tip. Remember when I said that Sully was thanking that, even after all this time, I'm still not bitter or holding grudges? No, he's that weird elderly guy in prison that's
yes,
like
I remember.
now
Yeah.
very humble, and he's the type that would basically bake cookies if he could there and hand them out to the other prisoners.
But the kobold, that's gonna be funny.
Cookie?
Zach, the wizard.
So, I will be a transmutation wizard when the game allows me to. That is the route I will be going. Basically, keeping the lead arcane focus with all the sigils corresponding to the spell book that allows me to cast my spells. They're on the sigil, and so I basically have my sigil or the ball in the left hand, and then I keep my mage hand strong with the right. Firing my laser beams and stuff like that. So yeah, that's about it. I have a small dagger that I carried concealed, kind of like in a slot, like in the back, not necessarily on the hip. So I'd reach behind my back to unsheath it if necessary.
Keep your hand in the right.
Other than that, Tinker Tools. I have a Monster Hunter pack, and the picture that I drew of me and Ed when I was a kid. That's it.
Paladin, just
Yeah,
is there a subclass on Paladin?
at third level.
Third level.
If we get there.
So he's
If we
Paladin.
So I'm planning
We'll get
probably
there.
putting him towards the vengeful paladin route.
Go Edward Alphonse.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be
Do
going.
you need his equipment or anything? Or?
Whatever you want to tell me about.
Um,
Whatever fills your character out.
He has his explorer's pack. He's got his glaive, and he's just got a dagger on his side, not concealed, like all crazy, just in case he needs something to fling at somebody.
So he's got that 10-foot reach for him.
Yep. Yeah.
Boy, got that
offline?
10-foot reach.
No, it says we're online, right?
Yep. And as a
Still
variant human, he's got polearm mastery, so he gets 2
Very
attacks.
human.
We're so online. We have 13 viewers.
Yep.
Straight off the bat.
All of them are going
Different account.
She has a lot
Multiple
of accounts.
screens.
She's very supportive. Good job, Nate! Go, Nate! You're doing so well, honey.
Made you a sweater.
With Nate's Road, do you have an idea which way you're going to go on?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of actually letting it play out, try to make it more natural, so I'm going to see what happens in the game. I'm trying not to have too much of an idea. I have, 3 different ones I would prefer it to go, but if there's a lot of times where we need somebody who's more sneaky and doing more thievery stuff, I'll probably go into Thief. That would be a good one, because it gets you a little extra stuff. I think that'd be flavor-wise really fun to be a kobold with the extra movement that Thief eventually allows you for stuff, and getting an innate climbing speed and just some cool things, fun stuff. Swashbuckler, I would like, because kobolds are typically more shy and scared and stuff.
Right.
So it'd be cool to have the charismatic Hamdan, Havati, and attacking kind of one. That'd be something cool. But I'm trying to let it play out. I'll see where it goes. Yeah.
Plus, your kobolds don't last long.
Yeah. I'm level 3. I don't think I've ever seen one get to level 2 was the highest I've ever gotten a kobold. So he's pretty short. He wears scraps of leather armor and common rags that he's scavenged. There's daggers hidden in them amongst it. Not super well, but just they're probably not even real daggers. They're probably more like letter openers and stuff like that. As an actual dagger would be pretty big for a 2 foot 2 inch tall creature.
So small.
Yeah. So literally this big, little lizard boy running around, about 20 pounds. So pretty slim and sleek, very agile.
Small and spry.
Yeah.
I think my maul weighs more than you do.
Yeah.
You could launch it with the catapult.
Yeah. You could the spell catapult.
The spell catapult.
You could literally. Okay, that's fun. Anyways, I'll take damage, by the way.
I know. So do they.
But yeah. So he does have a noticeably not really nicer but more present weapon, which is a rapier, more or less. It's probably a child's training rapier, but that's what he carries on him.
One of
for
those little
protection.
plastic
Well-
toothpick rapier.
One
you get in
that's
your drink,
relatively
Show and
appropriate
tell
for a
with an
kobold.
olive on it.
Gerlach doesn't want him to be defenseless. Yeah, so he's learned.
2019, we're trying to save the world.
Yeah.
Recycle.
Yeah, man. So Guar's he's small. He's quick. He likes to hide. He's probably a little smelly since he spends a lot of the time in the sewers. But it's hard to tell because might just be that natural reptilian weird stench they have. I don't know. But yeah, so that's kind of the majority of him. He is capable of using thieves' tools, although he's probably not as good as some kind of expertised rogue. He's proficient in them though. And that's the majority of that. He doesn't really know where his old home is because he was only kept there for a short amount of time, and they kind of test to see if the skin if you get your color back.
Right.
And he never did. He never earned a favor, so he was sent away because he was different.
Yeah.
Just dip him and die.
Dip him in that. He dyes himself red every night and never lasts. He sweats it off. Reptiles don't sweat though.
Your mom says good job on the dialogue, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. I can put away my script now.
What about Sully? Do you have any idea which direction you'd like to go?
Yes, I know that he is currently an undying warlock. And possibly down the road, I might dip into fighter, but right now I am liking the whole warlock thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Should I have an? I'm gonna pick Eldritch Knight at level 3
Okay.
because
The fun one.
I don't like the others.
Sure. I mean, Eldritch Knight, I think, is the most flavor-wise, the most fun. Champion, I'm just a
The fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a little bit I'm more fighter than the average
Yeah,
fighter.
you get the crit at what is it?
18 and then eventually 17.
The other
if you
ones are pretty
pure
cool for
blooded.
dips, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like a barbarian.
Battle Master's fun, but he's better for dips, and he's not a pure Battle Master.
Eldritch Knight will fit well in with the campaign too.
That's what I was thinking. And it gives me a little more utility.
Yeah.
Fireball, action surge, fireball again.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Teleporting eventually if we ever get to
Yeah, when we have
level 16.
spellcaster.
Yeah.
We have a lot of.
Meat shield.
Stabby stab.
Or barrel.
Yeah, you guys have a really nicely balanced group.
And we
behind
didn't even plan it.
Yeah, we could.
I could.
We just all strap ourselves onto the back.
I could literally, if you just give him a little handbag and I'll be in there, and he just throws the handbag, and then nobody,
Here's
everyone
our
will
payment
ignore
of
it.
Gold.
Pokeball.
It's just you inside. Stabs.
Just comes spinning out like
Spin out, kill everyone.
I kinda
Tasmanian
want-
devil.
I kind of want your character to have like a bandolier of all of us on there, so he can just.
Hold me in the trunk.
He's holding me while I have my glaive.
How tall are you?
7'8".
Yeah.
We're not taking you anywhere, dude.
We can't. Yeah, you're always gonna be waiting outside. You're the valet, just like.
Under the door.
I can't fit in the door.
Guys, is there a window?
It's raining.
It's kind of cold out here.
Now, the question of alignment always comes up in D&D. Just so you guys know, I look at alignment as descriptive rather than prescriptive. So in other words, you don't pick an alignment and then you have to abide by that alignment. More like, this is the way your character acts, and the alignment reflects that, or is a way of describing it.
I like that.
Hmm?
I like that better.
Yeah. Having said that, I really heard your character.
Yeah.
I'm guessing lawful good.
Oh, yes.
Is kind of the way you're gonna try and play that character.
I'm gonna try and boss people around, but in a really polite and respectful way. Like, I'd really rather think that you shouldn't pick that lock. That's somebody else's property.
Like, it was unlocked.
Deception.
No.
I have a -1 charisma
6.
modifier. -1 charisma modifier.
Goodness.
So what about the rest of you? Do you have an idea of what alignment you're going to try and kind of
Emulate.
emulate? Yeah.
Neutral good.
Neutral good. Let me go ahead and write that down.
I'll wait for you to do that then. Just not overwhelm you with a bunch of random ones.
Oh, okay, sir.
Probably, I'm thinking more of neutral since he's been adopted more by thieves. Probably like a chaotic neutral or something. However, kobolds typically are like neutral evil or neutral evil, lawful neutral, or lawful evil, or the typical like swings depending on where they're from. So I feel like it'd be more of eventuality. Like he's probably not as chaotic in his actions.
Okay, so but he's going to kind of be in that neutral
Yeah,
zone.
in the place where his actions will probably shift.
molded.
He can be molded. Oh no!
I thought you were lawful good.
You're no longer a thief.
It's gonna lawfully mold him.
I give up thief and become a cleric.
I've always wanted to play a cleric rogue.
A cleric rogue.
I think that'd be an interesting dip.
Do a domain trick or trickery domain. Was it? Yeah.
Arcane trickster.
Arcane trickster.
And
No, that's
and trickery domain.
that's,
And trickery domain.
Yeah, do both of those. Yeah.
There's literally
Oh,
a
wow.
domain for everything.
Yeah, and then you duplicity, lock picking with a mage. Oh my goodness, that'd be cool.
Guidance yourself.
Ooh, this is a lot of interesting. Getting a little scary here. Let's tone it down.
Somebody?
He's okay. So depending on like how the situations are presented to him, I'm trying to figure out like how willing he is to go to get the job done. Like, is he gonna leave the party behind to like get the main bad guy, or is he gonna stay in behind and help everybody? So he's more around like the neutral good to chaotic good. I don't have like a specific one yet for him, so I'm just trying to see what scenarios put before him and how he's gonna act to it.
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah. Like I said, the alignment is more of something to describe the way you act.
Right.
Yeah, and I'd rather have you guys have the freedom to kind of guide your characters in the direction you think they would go in whatever circumstance. But this also gives me an idea of where you're kind of coming from.
Right. I will be chaotic good. Good meaning I'm willing to help anybody, but it will come at some chaotic factor or cost. Now that cost or factor may be
The whole party.
explosions or just, maybe I didn't choose the right spell. Maybe Ed told me to do something else.
Fireball.
But it will be more for the greater good, but there's just going to be a little chaos to get there, And it's just it's not like chaos wipe the whole party chaos.
So
it's more like you
Not
really
chaotic.
are just chaos inside your head right now.
So Ed is the chaos half, and then you're the good half, or
Right.
like Grundle is the good
That's
half.
basically
Okay.
what it is.
Yeah.
Yes,
Ed
in a
and-
nutshell.
Evil Eddie.
So, but it will be
Kill
a
'em, man.
chaotic
Kill 'em all.
good.
Your character's a little bit unhinged, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a scrap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
talking to himself while he tinkers, but he's really talking to Ed over his shoulder.
You guys hear that?
Yeah,
Yes.
I did actually.
Okay. We kind of got an idea where it comes from. How about your character?
Romul is definitely like a very kind of like protector archetype. Like he wants to defend like those that need defending, so he's going to be leaning more towards the neutral good kind of alignment.
And then how about
Evalder is pretty definitely lawful good.
Woo!
He's he's less of a law of the land and more of a law of his god type person. Like he would not, suffer a undead to live kind of person.
Like, I'll follow your guys' plan, but I want to do the delayed fireball.
If we get there.
You want to
As long
burn
as you don't
your
look at
5th level spell in the first room kind of thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That sounds like a good character.
Synaptic static.
Death.
Instant death.
Okay, let's move into a little bit about your personality traits. The 4 traits. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about what those are and what are the most important parts of those. Kind of give us an idea of what your personality is like.
I've been jumping at the bit to get this.
Okay, jump on in.
So his main personality trait is that he's always polite and respectful. This is kind of, like I was saying, like instead like trying to boss people around, he's still like, could you not do that? I don't think that's the best idea. Maybe stop. And then he'll get a little angry if he wants, maybe try and intimidate somebody, but he has a -1 charisma, so he's not going to be doing that. His ideal is the greater good, and it's basically our lot is to lay down our lives in defense of others. So he's willing to do whatever it takes to push himself and help the people that are under attack or whatever. He'd jump in front of a lightning bolt to save somebody, basically. His bond is he would still lay down his life for the people he served with. So, like, if he runs into somebody from his own detachment, he'd do whatever it takes to save them. And my favorite part is his flaw. His hatred of his enemies is blind and unreasoning. So, kind of like Johan, like Terry's character. I want to call him Johan. Like Terry's character, like he'll go straight for the big bad. Like, fuck. Screw the little guys. Like,
Don't worry, I put the maturity filter.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, they have to. They're aware that. This
Okay.
is mature. Sure.
I've been trying really good.
Yeah.
But Harl will not be cursing. Like, he's just gonna be like, okay, that's the bad guy. Go for him. Like, just, and go off on, like, you know, screeds about how, like, evil is bad and I am good and evil must suffer at my hands.
Now, let's say one of your comrades goes down in combat. Or is Harl the kind who would stop fighting and attend to the fallen soldier, or is he the kind who would continue fighting the greater evil?
He'd probably pull them off the battlefield if he could, or at least stand by them to protect them from bleeding out or whatever. He has no medical training, so he would probably call somebody over if he could, or
Is there a doctor in the house?
exactly. He'd at least try. He would at least try to put himself between the fallen comrade and whatever attacker. Yeah.
Somebody else.
Yeah, I can go. So Guar, they, you know, kobolds don't really like bathe, so he doesn't like to bathe. That's his main personality trait from the list of things as a sewer rat. He's also kind of based off of how kobolds are. They help out their group. Everything's for the betterment of the group. They don't have families, really. It's like their entire culture is always like group oriented. So he thinks that's the most important, making sure that the group advances. Although death is like a well accepted thing. So he's probably, in that example, if somebody was down, although he might be interested in them not dying because that hurts the group, he is relatively accepting, like, this is going to happen. All kobolds must die. So he kind of has that kind of mentality where it's like he'll take care of everyone, but it's like at the betterment of the group. So if only one person's injured and something needs to be done, they'll do the thing that needs to be done before really worrying about it. And then another one is Gerlach is like, he really feels like there is a debt owed to him because he was he was a starving sewer rat that now has more purpose and is useful and gets rewards. So he feels like there's like he owes him. That was bad.
Yeah.
That was really bad.
Actually, no, we're all still in frame. I can fix that.
Give it 10
Yeah, no, we're
seconds.
good. Anyways, he likes he likes his position that he's in. He's not particularly upset that he's working for somebody else. That's what he wants.
Feels safe and secure.
He feels safe. Yeah, this is the most secure. He's been alone for several years, barely surviving, and now he's had several more years of experience of learning the trade that he's been getting into. Yeah, so he likes that. He's definitely a coward, as all kobolds are. If he was alone and there were even just 2, maybe even 3 enemies, he's gonna run. He is not like to be outnumbered in a specific instance. He likes to deal with his problems one at a time. Only one, please. Yeah. So that's how Guar, I would say, a good summary of his character would be.
Who else?
I'll go.
Yeah.
So the first and only personality trait I chose was the fact that I put no trust in divine beings.
Throw that in.
Zero trust
Kind of
in
a
divine
flaw.
beings.
There's kind of a flaw.
There's no such thing.
You're like the super atheist in a world that literally has
Yeah.
gods.
Oh, it's all
constantly
science,
divining.
all science and magic, and that's all it's going to be, 24/7.
That's what that's what
voice.
voice was too.
Since the traumatic event, I have traveled the greater part of Western Faerun to kill monsters, to make the world a safer place, and also to exercise my own inner demons. So I do keep my thoughts and discoveries that I do throughout my arcane research, as well as just any tinkering I may stumble upon, whether it's how to create whatever hex something, in a journal. That journal also doubles as my normal spell book, but I also have my arcane focus, so I don't have to constantly. Although it would be fun to flip through the pages, and then, but and then my flaw is that I talk to spirits that no one can see, or a spirit, in this case.
Just one.
Well, I'm sure it's spirits, just in case somewhere down the road I may have an interaction with a random spirit you guys don't see. So,
Or better yet, we all see it. We just pretend we don't.
that works.
Every ghost we run into, which I'm sure we probably won't run into
Right.
any ghosts in the Curse of Strahd. That'd be weird.
Detect undead.
But
like a ghost
and
undead.
and that's it.
Turn undead.
So,
So when he turns undead, who's the cleric? You're the cleric?
No.
When you turn undead,
so it kind of gives it that idea that I'm like walking through a street going like just mumbling to myself, so everybody thinks I'm this nutcase tinker or wizard who just lives off in a freaking hole on the side of the mountain.
Burnt out meth head trying to
Not so
trying
much.
to make shit.
I'm not a meth head.
I love it if there's like
I'm
a time.
picturing like a
Ketamine, more
like a scrap metal sculptor,
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah.
nut
Yeah.
job. Yeah.
Yeah, just a nutcase.
I love it if like there's a time where he's just mumbling to himself and Ed goes, "Are you okay?"
It's happened.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That one's not real.
So Jadir, being a short human and the shortest human to join the recon of Count Shen, he feels like he has to prove something. He's got that short man syndrome where he
Oh,
has
so he's a Napoleon.
in a sense. But he just feels like he has to prove himself. He's very honor bound, and where he comes from, honor is a huge thing to him. And he's very prideful. He loves gambling, but he sucks at it. He's very flirtatious. He especially likes women that seem big and strong, for he feels like he can strengthen his bloodline through them.
That seems
What
fair.
about a flaw?
Did you
His
hear that
flaw,
Snoo.
right?
Yes.
His flaw is he can't do advanced mathematics as far as like multiplications and stuff. Probably one of the reasons why he sucks at gambling, because he doesn't know how much to bet. And he's very hot-headed sometimes and short-tempered when it comes to certain things, especially when it comes to his pride and being besmart.
Okay, excellent.
So, Rommel, as I think I touched on it a little bit earlier, he's not exactly the brightest. I mean, a 9 intelligence isn't stupid, but he's not very well read. He speaks with long, drawn-out sentences and words in order to make himself appear more knowledgeable, but it really just gets everybody in the room to be like, come on, get to the point, all right, which ties in that 8 charisma. So he's very, very family-oriented. Whoever he considers his family or his herd at the time, he will defend to the death. He does not want anything to happen to those that he is protecting. And since he kind of puts that leadership position upon himself, he's very much like a very stubborn and strict father figure, where like if he believes something is for the bet, like if he thinks it's what's best for his herd or his family, like he will be incredibly stubborn in that decision. And yeah.
Excellent.
Valder, he kind of ranks probably his family just slightly above the common people, because his initial plan was to become a politician, not for his own sake, but for others. Like he didn't want to be like the leader of the entire town. He wanted to be like the vice leader, less attention, but still with the ability to help people, or treasure or something, something less focused on him, not so much for the leadership. He does see, he thinks that everything is a interaction from the gods, specifically his own. He trusts his deity, that his deity will also guide his actions. And his bond is everything he does is for the common people. That's why he's so willing to help without recompense, even when he's traveling and has no money. But his flaw is that he's a glutton and he eats and drinks to excess, despite his gout.
Oh no!
Wakes up every morning.
Oh, my toes.
Yeah. So that's why he kind of uses he kind of hobbles around, and he does absolutely nothing to avoid. He doesn't curtail his diet to that. And so he does have the old red knobbly knees and stuff. And as far as I believe somebody else was he does hold people's beliefs to be paramount. So if your guy does not want to deal with the divine at all, he will not heal you. If you do not want that, he will not heal you. He will not heal you against your will. And
Good to know.
like he personally, if he died, he wouldn't. And somebody tried to revive him, it wouldn't work because he wouldn't want to be revived. And he's not crazy about reviving people, but he will follow their beliefs. Like if they would want to be revived, he'll revive them. But he would rather convince somebody, okay, death's death.
Well, that makes sense being a great cleric.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gives you time.
And he's, like I said, very family oriented. It is he does follow the dwarven goddess of marriage, and so he does see that as a very important bond as well.
Okay, so that pretty much covers most of the questions I had for you guys. Kind of, fill out your characters a little bit, get an idea where you're coming from. Anything you guys want to add to any of this that we've been talking about?
I guess a flaw in a for my guy would be that he is dangerously optimistic and merciful, but he is also very passionate about his morals. So he sees there being a lot of justification in, the stick and the carrot, and bringing the stick in.
Oh yeah. One final thing, I guess. He carries flasks of oil and bags of caltrops. So if that what's it called? Throw ball fire, whatever.
Sacred flame.
Sacred flame or whatever. I was thinking the cantrip.
Yeah, Sacred Flame is the
Sacred,
cantrip,
yeah. You know.
Does that ignite?
I think Sacred Flame's radiant damage.
Is it radiant?
So it's more like a holy light, like
Yeah.
I was thinking throw fire. What's that one?
firebolts.
Produce
Produce
flame.
Produce flame.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Yeah.
Only
not a
like
druid.
That's what I was
only
thinking.
druids and warlocks can get it. If they're a specific kind of warlock, you get produce flame.
Fire genasi as well.
Oh yeah, they naturally have that.
No, really. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
They're pretty cool.
Pretty hot.
Well, it could be cold if they're not fire genasi. Then they have
I get
produce
it.
flame. No, no.
I get it.
Anyway, yeah, he's
Puns.
because
Puns for days.
the people that he leads into combat, they're basically commoners. He's level 1, leading commoners into a battle against giants and stuff. They have to use whatever tricks they have at their disposal. So flames and caltrops and
Yeah,
pit
whatever it
traps.
takes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So your character's not like
Caltrops.
honor in battle. He's like, screw those guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's blind and unreasoning.
So he's lawful. He's not retarded. Got
yeah.
it.
Yeah. He's tactical about it.
Hey, you never know. Some people play lawful really stupid.
I wanted to, if I pick up into thief, I can, as my for my cunning action as a rogue, I can drop caltrops and stuff. So I can do it for that and an action. So I can just go and litter a field with like a bunch of caltrops.
That's cool.
That was one thing that I thought would be cool because I have to worry about them, but everyone else would. Yeah.
Even us.
Even
Now,
you
the
guys.
question came, excuse me, equipment and gold came up recently.
Mm-hmm.
Gold, out of the player's handbook,
Mhm.
background, class, etc. For how much gold you have. Obviously, you all have the starting equipment for whichever you choose. You chose the Monster Hunters backpack, for example. Make sure you purchase anything extra that you need. I'm going to be kind of lenient. You know, if you only have 10 gold, but you need 15 to get the rope and the caltrops and the ball bearings and everything, go ahead and buy that. Obviously, you're not going out and buying +1 armor or anything.
So I can't get the.
But part
what
of
was
my
it, +3
backstory.
Vorpal? Yeah, my backstory. I found a +3 Vorpal rapier,
And then flushed it.
and I flushed it. I've been trying to find it ever since.
Okay. Anything else anybody wants to add to the characters before we switch gears here?
I have a more mechanical thing. I'm just still working on the microphone setup to make sure.
Okay.
So far, it looks like everyone's pretty good, but you're coming in. I think he mentioned somebody said you were a little bit quiet, and I was watching the levels when we were talking, and you were a little bit low. So I'm just gonna quickly look to make sure this is on actual.
We also do have actual people watching. If you guys could tell us.
Yeah, hey, how we doing, guys?
No. We were on cardio and not panoramic.
Oh, so it was cutting them off.
Yeah.
Hey.
So I was cutting
No.
you off. So.
Oh, well, there you go.
No.
Oh yeah, you're perfect.
Am I
now.
much better now?
We're
Yeah,
now a
we're
six-person
we're
party.
blowing up the
Bye.
microphone right now. I'm gonna lower it the gain now.
Oh, good.
Can you hear me?
Let's go over what languages everybody knows, right?
Okay, sure. Yeah, let me get that written down.
Oh, who wants to start?
We can
Yeah,
start.
I'll start. Common, Dwarvish, Elvish, and Celestial.
Common, Elvish, Dwarvish, and Celestial.
Common because common, and Loxodon because
Loxodon.
Loxodon,
Yeah.
and Giant because I'm
Giant.
big. There you go. That's it.
That's good.
Hey.
You know yourself.
Okay.
I've got common, dwarvish, orc, and giant. Hey.
Hey.
I know, because being a dwarf, I have dwarvish. Dealing with orcs, I know orcish. And dealing with giants, I know giant.
Yeah, fuck giants.
Yeah, fuck giants.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you don't need to
Inside
worry.
jokes.
Mature audience filter is.
No, I said sorry.
Inside jokes.
I know Common and Gnomish, and if I take 10 minutes, I can ritual cast to understand all languages.
Hey.
Cool.
Alright, then the conversation's over.
Hold on, let me.
Hey guys, I gotta.
Yeah, exactly.
I just know Common and Orcish.
Tinker megaphone.
I only know common and draconic, but I did forget one very important aspect. Guar is a lover of music as well. I have a small little stretched over leather over this little container I had. It was probably like a little jam container at some point, but I used it as a little drum. So I am proficient at using drums.
Mason jar drum.
Yeah, a little mason jar drum, appropriate to my size. And that dangles off of my little thieves pack that I got on, like a little well, not quite. It's probably like a fanny pack that I wear kind of like a backpack because I'm small. Yeah, so it's a little, it resembles a kilt almost.
And what kind of language?
Common, halfling, and celestial.
Oh, fancy man.
Excellent.
We would sound so pompous just talking to each other.
While we're grunting in giant.
10 minutes later.
You guys are literally saying nothing.
We can have an orc conversation.
Yeah.
And I could be yipping in draconic and no one will understand.
Did you say that you had a story in mind, a one shot in mind
For today?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay.
Did we want to stream the one shot?
Why not?
I don't
not?
see any reason why not.
People came to watch us roll some
Yeah,
dice.
so far we've been
Nice.
going into detail about our characters, so I
So
think
now
I
let's go to a completely different character.
Exactly.
Play those.
Hold on, Harl has a mole.
Oh my god.
You put so much detail into your character.
with
I
your
like it.
gray and orange yarn.
All right. If there are any police sketchers that are watching this stream, please use all these details and sketch Harl. Please. There's plenty of detail. I want to see what this guy looks like.
Yeah, we do have one.
Hey.
Yeah, I wanted to hear when you said, has the javelin strapped from his left shoulder to his right side. I was expecting you to say, and they come about 3 inches off on this side, and 4 inches on this
The
side,
funny thing is, I went looking for lengths of javelins and stuff too.
just to see if they're proper size for a dwarf.
Yeah, because you'd have to probably get the dwarven sized javelin. So you'd scale it accordingly.
And I found diagrams of shields.
Which are like your toothpicks.
Oh my god.
Actually, dwarves aren't super small. We're
I'm
pretty
5
tall.
foot.
Yeah, that's just like a
Dwarves are
short
fat.
human.
Yeah, I'm like 4th in height here.
Okay, so that kind of
in
wraps
person,
up the introduction of the characters for the upcoming campaign. As already mentioned, we got a little one shot that I'm going to run. Nobody really knows what it's going to be, so it's going to be a surprise to all of you. And I know that Terry, you got to take off. Nate, were you taking off? Were you sticking around?
I can probably stick around a little bit longer, but I do have some other stuff I will have to take off. So if it's one of those things where it'd be like weird if my character was still... Okay.
No, we'll just kill you off.
Cool.
No, good.
I like it.
Can I do it?
Nice.
Guys, I really gotta go. And
All right.
then a bolt of lightning falls from the sky.
Let's take a quick break. Bathrooms, food, whatever.
Okay.
About 5 minutes or so, a little longer maybe. We'll be back with a one shot, so stay tuned.
All right.
We're gonna change the stream name and stuff.
I'm gonna just mute the mic while we do. Hey guys, just quick thing. We're going to actually stop the stream and then resume it in about 5-10 minutes, I guess,
Yep.
while we snack.
Yeah, well, we'll get something to eat and set up for the next part.
Yeah, cool.
At our peak, we
Me, I'm in 2
15
screens right now.
viewers.
Wow.
That was